Hi, it's Lucy from A Good Chat Video. Welcome once again. So this week we've got something a little bit different to talk to you about. This week it's online dating. Now, it seems that online dating is probably the easiest way to meet people, but is it the best way to meet people? That's really debatable. Well, it's undeniable that you can meet a plethora of people online. It's actually really difficult to meet anybody with quality or that's compatible with us online. Sure, there are success stories, but for every success story, there's probably like a million horror stories and just didn't work out stories. So I wanted to go through some tips for you for when you're online dating, because the fact is, chances are that's how you're actually doing it these days. So let's get into it. Number one, don't be overly honest on your profile. Don't go into too many details when you're setting it up. Just put some facts on there, some of your interests that are actually your interests. Remember, these people are probably going to be picking you on your interests as well as your looks. So if you put down there that you absolutely love backgammon and fishing and you've never done either of those things in your life, it's going to get a little bit awkward later on. So if you don't have any interesting hobbies, if you don't know what to put down about yourself, just put down actual facts. I work in an office, I'm really busy, I'm close to my family, I enjoy online shopping and sad movies. It doesn't have to be personal. Certainly don't put down your life story. Just put down a few facts that will get people interested in you. If you want to put down some funny tagline, that's great, but you're probably going to attract an awful lot of attention and you don't always want to do that online. Number two, if you do happen to meet somebody online, meet in public. Never meet anybody at their house or at your house. Just don't do it. You've got to meet the people for at least 2 or 3 times until you can get a feel for them and actually understand who they are. Otherwise, you're just putting yourself at a hugely unnecessary risk. Now, if you're after a cheap hookup, I absolutely get that. But again, meet them in public first, make a judgment there, and then go back to somebody's house or a hotel or something. I mean, a hotel's probably the best way, honestly. But don't go bringing strangers into your house unvetted, just going by the internet. You're asking yourself for a really, really risky time there. That's male and female, gay, straight. Just be really careful with that one. Number 3, it's not real until you've met them. That's a fact. Now, there are so many fake profiles out there or details about people that really are quite dodgy. They've got a lot of things on there. So you really have to actually meet someone to judge what they've put on their profile as being accurate. That can be everything from the entire profile. I, back in the day, met up with somebody that had somebody else's photos on their profile. And then when I arrived, they tapped me on the shoulder and they were like, "Hi, are you Lucy?" And I was like, "Yeah, who are you?" And it was supposed to be this quite good looking guy that was, I think he said about 6'4". This guy was 5'2", literally. He was really short, and I didn't have a problem with any of that if he'd just put his regular stuff on there and his actual info and a photo of him. He wasn't bad looking, but I was just horrified at the fact that it was literally somebody else. And he tried to give me this big explanation as to why he catfished me. And I just took one look and went, dude, off. That was it. No second chances, because that is no go. Shut it down. Now, on that note, even if you've met them once, that doesn't mean that you're getting the truth there or that they're trustworthy. You want to meet them a few times to make sure that this is actually the person that they're saying they are. So just be careful and meet them first. It's not real until you meet them. Number 4. When you're online, be frank with people. Don't toy with them because you're bored or you enjoy the attention. That makes you really nasty. It's really not a good thing to do to other people. You want to just be frank with somebody. If you're not interested, you're not interested. If you enjoy chatting to them, let them know, hey, I really enjoy chatting to you, but I'm not romantically interested in you. You might end up with a friend, or they could just go, I'm not wasting my time here. And that's fair enough. It isn't actually all about you. There is actually another person at the end of that line. So you don't want to be unfair and waste their time. That would just make you a horrible person, and you don't want to do that. Number 5, block freely. If somebody's bringing red flags up to you, be it the language that they choose, if they're being creepy, if they're sending unsolicited dick pics, just block them straight out. Now, on that note as well, if you receive anything that's threatening, harassing, any of that stuff, report it straight away. Don't let the douchebags out there get over you. Just report them straight away. I'm sure the admins of whatever site that you're on are much more interested in keeping the people that are on there and quality there than allowing douchebags to actually run people off of the platform. On the people that are actually running these platforms, that brings us to number 6. Remember that these platforms are actually designed to keep you on the sites. So none of those algorithms work. All of the matches that you get are completely random. They're just random. There is no scientific value behind them at all. You will be hooked up if you follow the auto generations and the matches for you. You will be hooked up with a whole bunch of random nonsense because they're just trying to get you to stay on the site. At no point do they want you to hook up with someone and leave the site. So just keep that in mind. That's the reality of online platforms. Number 8, don't go by profile pictures. We all know that there are so many photo tuning apps out there. There are filters that you can get for cameras. There is filters that you can get for video. There are filters galore out there. Facetune is a thing. Chances are you've probably doctored one of your photos to put up on site to show that your best side, and that doesn't actually accurately reflect you. Now, if you're one of the few people like myself that actually doesn't ever use filters, I can't be bothered learning how to use them, to be quite frank. I never use filtered pictures on social media, ever. I don't put filters on my videos unless it's a literal special effect for it. But lots of people out there don't feel the same way. Now, if you're one of those people, then you should know from the get-go, don't trust other people's pictures. You have to actually meet a person to know that it's actually dealing with them. Or another trick is to make sure that it's not a 15-year-old picture of somebody else, is to ask them in the chats while you're chatting to them to send you a photo. Just say, hey, can you send me a photo of you touching your head? And then you'll know that it's actually them and that it's a new photo. Compare the two photos and have a look and see what the differences are. You'll probably find that there's quite a few of them, or it could be that that picture is now you have an updated reference from 22 years ago when they last took that photo. Number 9, don't give out your phone number or your personal email or any other contact details until you've actually met the person. Even if it's for a meetup, don't give them your mobile number. That is really important for your own personal safety. You don't want those people to be able to have reference to who you are or something that they can actually use to contact you outside of those platforms. Just use the platform. It's bound to have a mobile app that you can take with you, and just use the chat to keep in touch and to keep there. You don't need to give them your mobile number until later on when you know it's going to work out. Just don't give it to them. Number 10, furthering on that account, don't link your social media accounts. It is really silly on so many levels for so many reasons. Not just the people that you're dating, but your workplace can also find things. If you go and link your social media accounts with your dating accounts. I've seen it online lots of times where you can just click on the follow on Instagram button and suddenly they've gone from random chest picture to their personal profile that goes to show not only who they are, but who their family are, who they work for, a whole bunch of stuff that some random person really doesn't need to know. Don't go linking your accounts. Just don't do it. Number 11, let's be realistic. If you're jumping onto these sites, you should be aware of who the main audience for these sites are. If you're on Christian Mingle, chances are you're on there to mingle with some Christians. If you're on OkCupid, chances are you're looking for a long-term partner. And if you're on Tinder, you're probably not after a long-term relationship, let's put it that way. Remember what site you're on and only join the ones that you're actually interested in meeting that audience for. If you just want a one-night fling, fine, use Tinder. Don't expect to find yourself a long-term relationship on it though. If you want to use a site, use it for what its audience is for. Look up the reviews for the site, look up what the site's about, and be selective with what you want. If you want to put yourself completely out there across the board, then sure, go for it. But otherwise, just use one or two dating sites because you're going to find a lot of the audience is crossing over anyway. If what you're looking for isn't what that site's about, well, there's probably not much point in being on it and you're better off looking elsewhere. Number 12, Don't send personal photos and don't send nudes. Just don't. They are such a bad idea online. You don't need to send them to validate and to titillate and to excite. You really don't. You just need to meet them in person for it to go well. Send regular photos, absolutely. But if you're sending nudes, that is a risk that you are opening yourself up for later on. Do you really want them out there? Do you know who you're sending them to? Because you really don't until you've actually met that person. So maybe skip the nudes. Number 13, be open with who you're willing to talk to and to meet. Don't judge people simply by their photo and their profile unless it's got red flags in there. Are they being aggressive in their profile? That's a red flag. Are they being overly hilarious? That could be a sign of nervousness, or it could be that that's who they are as a person. But don't go by just the physical aspects of a person. Don't say, okay, I'm only going to date 22-year-old hot dudes with brown hair. Open yourself up to a range of people and meet them based on their personality. I can tell you now, you would hate it feeling that you were just there on a meat show. It's not a fun feeling. So if you want to actually meet somebody to date, you might want to expand your horizons and meet people based on their merits and not just how they look. Of course, having a physical attraction is important, but it's not the be all and end all, and don't always judge by what the photos they have on the site. Sometimes people just take really terrible photos. I feel that I look like a gargoyle in half the photos that I take. They are a terrible reflection of me in day-to-day life. So I really don't like putting them up there, and sometimes I don't have the best editing skills to pick out a good one, or I'm just not good at taking. You don't know what you're dealing with some people. That could be a case of they just don't know how to take a good photo. On that one, let's go to number 14, which is set realistic standards. If you're not an Adonis, if you aren't somebody that's physically perfect, young, perky in all the right places, dimensionally accurate in all the good places, let's just put it, chances are you're not going to hit the mark of all the other people out there that are on those levels. Those Adonises and this, they're so pretty to look at, but they're usually looking for people that match up with themselves. Of course, there are exceptions to that. You can meet somebody that is absolutely physically perfect, and they could be a total a-hole. It's not all about physicality, it's about the fact that you need to be realistic as to who you're meeting and why. If you want to meet quality standard people, then you need to be quality standard people. You need to not be judgmental based on someone's physical appearances alone. You could meet somebody that you could spend the rest of your life with perfectly happily, and they could be well outside of what you would have considered to be your physical norms. So just be open to what the standards are out there, and don't lock yourself in based particularly, because most people online are really guilty of it, on ego standards. 15, once again, it's not real until you've met. It's not real until you've met. Now, on that note, there are so many reasons why it's not real until you meet these people. There are scammers out there. That's an unfortunate fact. There are scammers out there. So if you get asked for any reason to send somebody online money and you don't know that person, do not send it. Dating site or otherwise, it's a scam. I mean, if you've got plenty of money and you like the attention, sure, just go nuts. But don't expect anything out of it. You're being scammed. Genuine people that are really interested in meeting and dating for you, they're not going to be asking you for money. And if they are, they're not the sort of people that you should be dating. They're really toxic people and you don't want that in your life. So just avoid it. Don't send money. People online aren't real until you've met them. On that one, let's talk about number 16, which is don't accept long distance requests. It's a scam. It's just a scam, honey. It's a scam. That's it. It's a scam. It's not happening. Just look for people that are in your local area. They don't have to be next door, but they at least have to be in the same city or state around you. I live in a small place. The dating pool around here, I know for a fact from all my single friends, it's this big, and you kind of have to stretch out from one end of the state to the other. But it's still within the state. Sometimes they even stretch out to the next state, which is Melbourne, which is a boat ride away. And I always say to people, just don't bother. If you don't meet them here, you don't meet them in person, there's no point. It's not happening. Even from over there. It doesn't matter even if it turns out that it's not a scam, it's probably not going to happen. The fact is that distance relationships rarely work for couples that already know each other. It is so much strain for a relationship to be in. Now, for one that's being built by people that don't know each other, it's built on fantasy. It's not going to work out. It's just easier to look at it that way. That's not always the reality, of course. Comment down below if you think differently. Absolutely. Argue with me, I don't care. But the fact is, if you're trying to build a relationship on quality grounds with a real, actual person, you're probably not going to be doing it long distance. Look for people that are local. And for number 17, try to not meet people online. If you want to actually date someone quality, and you really want to meet someone that you make a connection with, you're probably going to have to meet them offline, doing something that you enjoy doing socially. Now, at the moment, the world is a bit of a crazy place and that might not be possible, so you might need to be chatting with people that are in the same social groups and not necessarily dating groups. Broaden your horizons out and don't necessarily go out there with the attitude of, I want a relationship. That's not at all the best way to actually get into a relationship. Very rarely can you actually, in reality, go out and go, this is my shopping list for dating. I'm going to go to the dating superstore and I'm going to chuck a date in my basket and I'm going to walk out married. That's just not how life works. Even before the internet came along, how did you meet people? You met them by doing things that you have in common. You went to social spaces. Now, the same rules apply online as offline. You've got to have realistic expectations of what you're going to meet. Say, at a bowls club or a cricket club or a sporting club, you're most likely going to meet actual, genuine, same interest people because you're there for the same interests. Whereas if you're in a nightclub, they literally exist to get drunk and to root people. So that's probably what you're going to meet there. It's probably not going to be happily ever after, but it could be fun for a night. If that's what you're after, that's what you're after. So keep it real. Try to meet people offline doing actual hobbies and interests that you enjoy, because that's how you'll make actual connections. And if you do meet someone online and you want to know if you do have something in common that you can build something on, then go out and do something that you both enjoy in the real world. So that's it from me for this video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Lucy from A Good Chat, and I hope this was a good chat. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.